At number 1, I have the Nationals taking shortstop Ethan Holiday out of Stillwater High School in Oklahoma. Now, a week ago, I was leaning more towards the Nationals taking the top college arm in this year's draft, Cade Anderson, because he fit their timeline very well, but things got thrown for a loop because they fired their GM Mike Rizzo and their manager Davey Martinez. But I think in the end, they stick to taking the best player available with the most upside. Now, they cited they were looking for a fresh start after the firing of Rizzo and Martinez, and Holiday would be a signal for that. Now, with Holiday, the son of Matt Holiday and the younger brother of former number 1 pick Jackson Holiday, you're getting a stud of a player at 6'4" and a great left-handed bat. While he does have some swing and miss, he has very good plate discipline and matches to all fields, showing 30 home run potential. Now, defensively, because of his size and only a 40 run grade, according to Baseball America, scouts think there is a chance he moves to third base at some point down the road, but he has the hands and the arm strength along with the footwork to potentially stay at shortstop. At number 2, I have the Angels taking left-handed pitcher Cade Anderson out of LSU. Now, like I said earlier, he is considered the top college arm in this year's draft, so the Angels really shouldn't be cute here. They got some good young talent to build around offensively, but they really need more upside in the pitching department within their organization. Now, with Anderson, he definitely brings that. He has a good 4-pitch mix with solid velo that sits in the low to mid 90s, but he can get up to the upper 90s as well, while also flashing one of the best curveballs in this class at a 60 grade, thanks to its high spin, depth, and shape, a recently introduced mid-80s slider, and a changeup that could still use some work, but shows some promise. On top of this, he throws a lot of strikes from the left side. In the end, he has the upside of being a top-of-the-rotation starter one day. At number 3, I have the Mariners taking right-handed pitcher Seth Hernandez out of Corona High School in California. Now, the Mariners usually go the college route when drafting pitching in the first round, but this time, I think someone like Seth Hernandez is way too good to pass up. Sure, taking high school pitching this high is always a risk, but I think the Mariners can afford that with all of the top 100 prospects they've accumulated over the last few years. And for me, while yes, he is a prep pitcher, he looks the part just like Jackson Jobe did a few years ago when the Tigers took him at number 3. He's arguably the best pitching prospect in this entire draft, whether or not it's someone coming out of college or high school. He's got a big frame at 6'4". He's got a fastball that sits in the mid 90s currently and gets up to 100 miles an hour. He's got a 70 grade changeup that has a ton of separation with the velo and solid breaking stuff both vertically and horizontally. On top of that, he's got a clean delivery and he throws a bunch of strikes. Now, like I said, the Mariners have a deep farm system and they have a bunch of young pitching already at the major league level, so they can take their time with developing Hernandez. At number 4, I have the Rockies taking left-handed pitcher Jamie Arnold out of Florida State. Now, they've gone college heavy the last few years, and with the Rockies really needing to improve the pitching within the organization, this would be a good pick here. Arnold gets comparisons a lot to Chris Sale because of the low 3/4 slot release point and a nasty sweeper that helped produce a 34% strikeout rate at Florida State last year. He pairs that with a 60 grade fastball that sits in the low to mid 90s, but he can get it up to the upper 90s. He's got a solid changeup and he throws a bunch of strikes. At number 5, I have the Cardinals taking shortstop Eli Willits out of Fort Cobb Broxton High School in Oklahoma. Now, with the Cardinals about to go through some turnover in the front office after this season, I see them looking for as much upside as possible with the best high school position player available in Eli Willits. Now, he's very polished for his age and he's got great instincts for still being under 18 years old. His hit tool grades at a 55 by Baseball America and 60 by MLB Pipeline, and he's projected to develop more power into his 6'1" frame. He's a very good athlete with a good arm. He moves well at shortstop. He's the kind of player you look to build around down the road. At number 6, I have the Pirates taking shortstop Iva Arquette out of Oregon State. Now, the Pirates desperately need bats in the organization, and they're getting a good one here in Arquette. He's a big guy at 6'4" with a good arm, so there is the possibility of him moving to third base down the road, but he plays a good shortstop for now. Now, the power is the calling card with Arquette because of his big frame and his quick hands. He did have some issues with swing and miss in the past, but he cleaned it up this past season, posting a career-low strikeout rate of 16.5%. The Pirates need a slam dunk offensive player, and Arquette fits the bill here. At number 7, I have the Marlins taking shortstop JoJo Parker out of Purvis High School in Mississippi. Now, the Marlins have been connected to both of the high school shortstops, Parker and Billy Carlson, and even though Carlson is ranked slightly ahead, I think the Marlins go with Parker here. Now, Billy Carlson has the better defense by far, but Parker's bat is way more advanced at this point, graded with a 55 hit and a 55 power, and the Marlins have been looking to add more upside with the bats over the last year. Now, with Parker, he's got a simple approach at the plate with a good eye, has good bat speed, and he handles velo well. Now, like I said, Carlson does have the better defense at short, but Parker handles himself very well there too. On to the Blue Jays at number 8, and I have them taking shortstop Billy Carlson out of Corona High School in California. Now, with the Marlins taking Parker, I have the Blue Jays taking Carlson here. Like I said earlier, Carlson is much better defensively at shortstop, graded by Baseball America with a 70 field and a 70 arm. This is because of his high IQ at the position, and he can make pretty much any play that comes his way. Now, when it comes to the bat, there is still some work to do with developing more power for his size, but he makes good contact and he shows good plate discipline. Luckily for him, though, the Blue Jays have had success developing good hitters. On to the Reds at number 9. I have them taking yet another college pitcher, left-hander Liam Doyle out of Tennessee. Now, Doyle doesn't have the breaking stuff like Cade Anderson or Jamie Arnold, but he has one of the best fastballs in the entire class that sits in the mid to upper 90s with ride, which helped him strike out over 40% of batters last season. Now, his secondary offerings aren't as good as Anderson's, but he does have a solid splitter that has good tumble on it. But scouts are a little split on when it comes to the slider and the cutter with him. Now, his control is good for the most part, so he should continue to develop into an effective starter, especially with the Reds pitching department. At number 10, I have the White Sox taking right-hander Kyson Witherspoon out of Oklahoma. Now, the White Sox have had very good success developing pitching, and I think they should take the next best pitcher available here in Kyson Witherspoon. Now, ranked number 7 by Baseball America and number 10 by MLB Pipeline, there's a lot to like here. He's got a good frame at 6'2" and a 5-pitch mix, including a 60-grade fastball that sits in the mid-90s, a 60-grade slider that has cut action, a solid cutter, along with a curveball and a changeup that still could use some more development. Now, there is a bit of jerkiness to his delivery, but he did improve his walk rate this past season at Oklahoma, so it doesn't seem to be an issue. On to the A's at number 11, and I have them taking Tyler Bremner out of UC Santa Barbara. Now, the A's drastically need to improve the pitching within their farm system, and luckily, Bremner is just sitting right there for the taking here. Now, he's got a solid 3-pitch mix that features a 60-grade fastball that sits in the mid-90s with good life and a plus mid-80s changeup, but he will have to improve his slider that has good movement, but it did get hit hard this past year. On to the Rangers at number 12, and I have them taking catcher and outfielder Ike Irish out of Auburn University. Now, the Rangers love their college bats, and here's the best one available in Ike Irish. He's got a big frame at 6'2" with tons of strength that helped him hit 19 home runs this past season, along with very good plate discipline shown by a .435 on-base percentage in his career at Auburn. Now, there are questions with his home defensively long-term, as he needs more work with his receiving, blocking, and footwork behind the plate, so scouts think he could end up being a corner outfielder down the road. Regardless, there's a lot of potential with the bat. At number 13, I have the Giants taking shortstop Daniel Pierce out of Mill Creek High School in Houston, Georgia. Now, in Buster Posey's first year running the front office, I see them taking the highest value possible here with a high school shortstop, and Pierce could be a good one down the road. Now, while he has tweaked some things mechanically at the plate, he looked a lot better this past season, showing a more balanced and repeatable swing to go with his already good strength and athleticism. He brings his athletic ability to the base paths with a 60 run tool and to the field as well, grading at a 60 for his fielding on Baseball America, thanks to his good range and hands. At number 14, I have the Rays taking shortstop Steele Hall out of Hewitt-Trussville High School in Alabama. Now, the one thing the Rays always lean into with the draft is athletic players, and they're getting that here with Hall, who has a 70 run tool, which helps him cover a lot of ground and makes a lot of plays at shortstop. The bat does need more development, which is graded at a 50. Now, he's got quick hands that creates good bat speed, but scouts say that he needs to create more rhythm with his swing and cut down on the swing and miss. But with his athleticism, though, I'm sure the Rays can get that shirt up. At number 15, I have the Red Sox taking right-hander Gage Wood out of Arkansas University. Now, last year, the Red Sox focused a lot on taking pitching in the later rounds while going with a position player in Braden Montgomery in the first round, but this year's draft, with it being so deep in position player talent, I think they could do the opposite and go high on pitching with this pick. Now, last year, they took guys like Peyton Tolley and Brandon Clark, who both have good size, Tolley being 6'6", Clark being 6'4", but they needed to increase their velo and refine their stuff. In this case, Wood, who's coming off the third ever College World Series no-hitter with 19 strikeouts, might I add, is kind of the opposite. Now, standing a bit shorter than Tolley and Clark at 6 foot, he's got a stocky frame that pumps absolute gas with a 70-grade fastball. Now, with this, this, he has a power curveball that has very good bite, but his slider and changeup could still use more work. But despite those weaknesses, the reason that I think Boston fits well here is because he does get a lot of swing and miss in the zone, something the Red Sox really value, and he throws a lot of strikes, posting a 5% walk rate the last 2 seasons. Now, with his slider and changeup, I think the Red Sox and their revamped pitching department can get those better as well. He did have a shoulder issue earlier in the year that did cause him to miss a couple of months, but he bounced back very well, obviously, throwing a no-hitter in the College World Series. And with the Red Sox, they have one of the most highly touted medical departments in all of Major League Baseball. On to the Twins, and have them taking shortstop Merrick Houston out of Wake Forest University. Now, the Twins are usually all over with the demographics in the draft, going back and forth between high school and college players. So with this pick, I have them just taking the best player available in Merrick Houston. Now, he's one of the best college players in this draft thanks to a good mix of hitting, athleticism, and very good defense. Now, his hit tool is graded at a 55 because of his high contact rate, and he has a 55 run grade, which helps him play great defense at shortstop, which is graded at a 65, mostly due to his baseball IQ, making hard plays look very easy, and he has a good arm, which helps him make all kind of throws. Now, his power is only graded at a 40, but he showed some increased power this past season, hitting 15 homers, and at 6'3", there's definitely more room for power here. On to the Cubs at number 17, and I have them taking Brendan Summerhill out of Arizona. Now, the Cubs have leaned into college players in recent years, both position players and pitchers, but with the position players they've taken recently, one attribute they've shared are good hit tools. Now, there are guys like Eloy, Jace Laviolette, ranked ahead of Summerhill, but they're more power over hit. With Summerhill, he's more hit over power right now, graded at a 55 hit with a 50 power, thanks to a 90% contact rate and a good eye at the plate, despite having a high leg kick, something Matt Shaw actually had. Now, with the power, like I said, it's graded at a 50 right now, but he's got a good frame at 6'2", so there's definitely more to tap into there, in my opinion. He's also a pretty solid athlete that's capable of playing center field, despite mostly playing right field this past season at Arizona. And one more thing to add about Summerhill is he is originally from Illinois. At number 18, I have the Diamondbacks taking shortstop Kason Cunningham out of Johnson High School in Texas. Now, I'm a big fan of Cunningham, who's got a solid bat from the left side. He's got quick hands that creates good bat speed. He makes a ton of contact to all fields and rarely strikes out. All very good traits for someone so young coming out of high school. Now when it comes to the power, though, that could end up being a bit limited since he is 5'9", but because of his quick hands, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him be a 15 to 20 home run kind of a bat every year. Defensively, he's solid, has good range because of his athleticism, but he's more likely to end up at second base long term because of his fringe arm strength. Now, even though he has a very good bat, I could see him dipping a bit here despite being ranked number 11 on Baseball America because he is undersized and has second base risk. Over the last several years, though, the D-backs have been comfortable taking high school players, and I see them doing that here again with the good bat of Cunningham. With the 19th pick, I have the Orioles taking Jace Laviolette. A year ago, people were considering Laviolette a potential number 1 pick because he's a monster at the plate. He's 6'6" with a 65 power grade, similar to Jack Caglione. Now, because of his strength, his stupid quick hands, and the leverage that he has, he's able to generate a ton of power, and on top of this, he does make good swing decisions. However, he only has a 45 hit tool, mainly because of the swing and miss, especially in the strike zone. Now, he is pretty athletic for his size, though, graded with a 55 run, and he has a good arm that should help him be a solid corner outfielder down the road, but his ability to make consistent contact will be key for him. The Orioles made a similar pick last year with Vance Honeycutt, who possessed a lot of raw talent, but also a lot of swing and miss. Now, the Orioles love drafting high upside outfielders, so I say they stick with that here. Into the 20s we go, and I have the Brewers taking Gavin Keelan out of Tennessee University. Now, when it comes to the Brewers, they love drafting college players, with 4 of their last 5 picks coming from college, and all of them being position players. Now, another common trait they have is at least one tool stands out, like Sal Frelick with his hit tool and the run tool, or Brock Wilken with the power tool that he had. Now, the guy that fits the mold here for the Brewers is Gavin Keelan, who has a 60 grade hit tool on MLB Pipeline and 55 on Baseball America. He makes a ton of in-zone contact with a good feel for the barrel, and he has solid plate discipline. Now, he doesn't have much of an arm, but he does have very good range at second base, but he can play a reliable shortstop. At number 21, I have the Astros taking shortstop Vaheva Eloy out of Arkansas University. Now, Eloy ranked 16th overall on Baseball America's rankings, so this would be very good value here for Houston. Now, the Astros, they've leaned very heavy into college players, not taking a prep player in the first round since 2016. Now, one consistent trait over the years with these players have been power over hit tools, and the guy that fits the mold here is Eloy. Now, he has a 55 power tool thanks to his athletic build and his dumb bat speed that plays to all fields. Now, his 45 hit tool, though, is due to his swing and miss against breaking pitches. The Astros have developed hitters well, though, so this could be a good fit for him. Now, when it comes to his defense at shortstop, he gets the job done, but he still needs to make some strides in all facets to stick to shortstop long term. At 22, I have the Braves taking left-hander Cruz Schoolcraft out of Sunset High School in Oregon. Now, the Braves love taking pitching in the first round, and they're not shy to take prep pitching either. Now, with Schoolcraft, he's the best available pitcher on the board at this point. This guy is absolutely massive at 6'8", but he also has two-way ability thanks to his good arm and power from the left side of the plate. Now, the consensus seems to be he'll be focusing more on pitching, though, because of the upper 90s velo that he has with an already solid slider and changeup, while also having the ability to throw strikes with his large frame. At 23, I have the Royals taking third baseman Xavier Nyans out of Mount Vernon High School in Washington. Now, the Royals are usually all over the place with their demographics, going back and forth between college and high school picks of the first round, but the one thing they usually lean towards is power, and the guy with the best power tool on the board at this point is Nyans, who has a 65 grade power. He's got a big frame at 6'4", and he already has a ton of power to all fields thanks to his leverage and his bat speed. There is concern with the swing and miss, though, so he's going to have to clean that up. He does have a good plate discipline, but he needs to get into better situations with counts. Now, as for the defense, he's at shortstop right now, but he doesn't have the agility to stay there long term, making him more of a fit for third base down the road. At 24, I have the Tigers taking third baseman Gavin Feen out of Great Oak High School in California. Now, the Tigers have gone pretty heavy into the prep pool over the years, and I think they take advantage here with a solid prep player in Feen. Now, the Tigers have shown a preference to taking balanced bats with position players in the first round over the years, and with Feen possessing a 55 hit and power, he fits that mold. Now, his setup is a little stiff at the plate according to some scouts, but his strength and bat speed generate good exit velo, and with a 6'3" frame, he has even more room for power down the road. He also recognizes pitches very well to pair with his high contact rate, giving him the opportunity to be a solid all-around bat. Defensively, he doesn't move around very well, but his arm grades at a 60, meaning he's most likely a fit for third base down the road, or maybe even first base. At number 25, I have the Padres taking Slater DeBrun out of Summit High School in Oregon. Now, the name of the game with Slater is his athleticism, who has a great build and graded with a 70 run tool, something the Padres have valued over the years. Now, he has a very good hit tool at 55 thanks to his good plate discipline and high contact rates, but he is undersized at 5'9", so the power will be limited some. However, because he's strong for his size, he could be a guy that goes for around 20 homers per year. He's also very good defensively in the outfield thanks to his athleticism, but also his good route running, along with his 55 grade arm, which is unusual for someone his size. He's a guy that could be a solid leadoff hitter one day that could steal a ton of bags and give you great defense out in center field. At 26, I have the Phillies taking outfielder and second baseman Sean Gamble out of IMG Academy in Florida. Now, the Phillies have been leaning more into the prep players in recent years with good success, and I don't see why they should stop here. Gamble is a pretty good all-around bat right now that's shown improvements with his swing and miss over the last year, and he has performed well in the circuit since last summer. Now, he has very good bat speed, and scouts think if he tightens up his swing a little bit more, he could end up being a very good bat from the left side down the road. Now, to me, that's not too much of a question mark because of his athleticism with his run grade at a 60. This helps him have very good range in the outfield and the infield, but scouts think his range plays better in the outfield. Either way, he could be a very good versatile player down the road. And wrapping up the first round, I have the Guardians taking catcher Caden Bodine out of Coastal Carolina. Now, the name of the game with Bodine is his high contact rates and extremely good plate discipline, which helps him earn a 60 grade hit tool. On top of this, he's a switch hitter, so he could be an absolute menace down the road. Now, there's not a lot of power here, but the Guardians have valued high contact bats in the past regardless of the power. Now, when it comes to his defense behind the plate. He doesn't have a great arm, but he does receive and block well with quick hands to help him make up for that. Now, as for the Mets, Yankees, and Dodgers, they don't have their first picks until the competitive balance round, but here are some players that I could see them targeting. With the Mets last year in David Stern's first draft, they took Carson Bench, a guy who had high contact rates with good batted ball data, along with good defense in the outfield. I could see outfielders like Ethan Conrad out of Wake Forest or Cam Cannarella out of Clemson, who both have 55 great hit tools thanks to good contact rates, or maybe even a pitcher like Patrick Forbes out of Louisiana or Riley Quick out of Alabama, who have good velo and breaking stuff but lack command, kind of like Jonathan Santucci, who they took in the second round last year. With the Yankees last year, they went very pitching heavy, so maybe this year they go back more to position players. Maybe they go for someone like a low contact but high power bat like Spencer Jones, or an all-around player like George Lombard Jr. Guys like catcher Luke Stevenson out of North Carolina has issues making consistent contact, but when he does, he has very good power. Or maybe the 6'6" Quentin Young, the nephew of Dimitri Young, has a 60 power tool but has issues with swing and miss. Now, a more all-around player could be someone like Tate Southasine out of Basic High School in Nevada, who's a good athlete that can play shortstop or outfield, and he's pretty balanced at the plate. If they go the pitching route again, maybe they can go with another college arm like they did last year with Ben Hess, say the next best three available like Patrick Forbes, who I mentioned earlier, Anthony Ianson out of LSU, who has good breaking stuff, or Riley Quick out of Alabama. And with the Dodgers in the last couple of years, they've leaned more into the good athletes out of high school like Kellen Lindsey and Kendall George, guys that fit that mold. Could be prep shortstops like Jordan Yost out of Florida, who has a 60 grade run tool with a good hit tool, but he lacks power, or Nick Becker out of New Jersey, who's 6'4" with a 55 run grade. Maybe they go back to the college pitching route like they did with Bobby Miller a few years ago with the names that I mentioned earlier, or maybe they can go back to the prep pitching class like they did with Maddox Bruns with guys like Jack Bauer, who has a 75 grade fastball, or Aaron Watson, who has a pretty balanced profile. But everyone, that's my mock draft for this year. Let me know your thoughts down below. Who do you want your favorite team to draft this year? Let me know. But everybody, that's all I got for right now. If you can on the way out, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.